Don't Look Up, 2021 movie, directed and written for the screen by Adam McKay, and it's got a very powerful cast, heavy hitters. Leonardo DiCaprio stars as Dr. Randall Mindy, Rob Morgan's Dr. Clayton Oglethorpe, Jennifer Lawrence, Dr. Kate Dibiasky, Meryl Streep is President Janie Orlean, Kate Blanchett as Brie Avanti, Tyler Perry, Jack Bremner, and then Jonah Hill is Jason Orlean. Mark Rylance plays Peter Ishawell, and it's a sci-fi comedy, and it's drawn a lot of attention, lots of nominations, buzz, but this critic describes it as a very lazy, sanctimonious comedy. So there we are. Early footage, we see Jennifer Lawrence inside a space station of some description, working some computer and uttering complete gibberish. And what strikes me is how aged she looks. She then spots a combination in the in space that's a comet, and we then get some sort of celebration where we meet DiCaprio, who looks very odd looking. There's a sort of excitement amongst the crew having spotted this comet way out in outer space somewhere. It becomes evident that the comet is heading for an impact with the Earth in 6 months. So those on board and those back on Earth who are scientists specialising in space technology are all then placed on heightened awareness of this pending catastrophe. At this stage it's not really much of a comedy. So NASA jettisons DiCaprio and Lawrence back to Washington, and then we're in the White House waiting for Streep's president to arrive for a briefing. The first laugh, Lawrence asks DiCaprio, are we there to brief the president of the demise of the human race in 6 months' time? And he confirms, and then she gets overcome and vomits into a bag that she has handy. Then we have the credits, and the score looks remarkably like an imitation of the 60s style scores, with enhanced writing for the actors and actresses, and almost Bernard Herrmann, John Barry style score. It seems the wheels that work within the White House can't change gears at all, even though these two scientists have come from outer space. There's a birthday cake and a birthday presentation that is holding precedence, which is just another laugh. We'll then have some small talk about what's in the news isn't the imminent end of the human race, but about some social media star breaking up with their other half. Life goes on. In the pending delay for the president to clear her desk, so to speak, the chief of staff then has to apologise for his departure, as he's got to go to Japan. Now, this is all in the light of the fact that there's a that the Earth is being targeted by a comet 10 kilometres in length, and that it's going to destroy the planet. The two doctors, scientists, professors, call them what you will, then get told that the meet won't happen till the morning because of other business, to which they are shocked. And then we move into sort of small talk, really, trivialising the whole issue about the comet. It's all quite amusing, I suppose, but and it is a comedy, I guess. Believable? Well, clearly no. We then get a telephone sort of video call between Lawrence and her ex, or her partner who she's separated with, not so good. And he's sort of fuffing on about something and nothing, and regarding his mother and how Lawrence has treated her, or allegedly treated. And then she then suggests that she get to see her 7 months on, which of course is after the comet has destroyed the Earth. I suppose it is quite funny. Then got to the meeting with Streep, who's so nonchalant about the meet and restricting its time and underplaying its importance. And even when the detail laid out, it's almost received with a sort of a doubt, and we have this crazy conversation about percent of certainty of impact. So basically the sit tight response from the President and the White House doesn't go down a great deal, with Kate, played by Lawrence, who utters some verbal rant at them, and of course they're informed that the confidential nature of the discussion. There's amusing responses from the President, played by Streep, who wants to spend more time on the fact that she is now confident enough to smoke in public, even though previously she was trying to hide it and give the image of being having given up. And then there's the issue of chipping with social media as being a sort of a time killer and a means to avoid realities, and it's a tongue-in-cheek satire. Streep is a little bit like a female version of Trump. Chief of Staff, played by Jonah Hill, seems to be more into ratings, and the shift from Kate and Randall Mindy, played by Lawrence and DiCaprio, then it moves towards a public media tour in opposition to this foolhardy response from the politicians. So that's where we're at. We then meet at an event one Peter Isherwell, played by Mark Rylance, who's selling some sort of top-range product that will eliminate loneliness, sadness and negative emotions from one's life just at the press of an app. DiCaprio and Lawrence then go to a media company to try and spread the word, but they then get caught up in this media buzz of having to look right, say the right things, be protected legally, packaged like a product. We get the occasional snippet of reality, like when Lawrence tells other half, X or whatever it is, the imminent threat from the comet and the impact, and he reacts by having almost an anxiety attack. Next up is a sort of view of the planetary thrills and beauty of species, almost like a Save the Environment video, and McKay follows that up by a quick glimpse at garbage collectors and then New York traffic, just to get some sense of balance. He doesn't want to be accused of being a global warming activist. Next news channel, news show, and they start to get packaged in the makeup department, the rehearsal department. All they want to do is share their information, but they're being packaged for live TV to the masses. It's quite sickly. The Daily Rip, this news show, starts off with the Supreme Court nomination being tied up in some sex scandal. It's certainly the lead story, relegating the destruction of the planet by a comet to the subordinate story. Whilst this young star talking rubbish about her breakup is aired, we cut to a group of people connected, checking on social media for hits, likes, views, etc. Which just about sums up society these days. Kate eventually loses her tolerance and spills it out that the planet is about to be destroyed, and Blanchett's reaction, who's the female host, is we like to try and minimise the bad on this show, keep it light. Blanchett's brief cameo as the show then ends on that note. She comments on DiCaprio's style for media suitability, but very much makes clear that Kate won't be welcome back. And then as the credits go down or the end of the show, she then sort of makes a pass at DiCaprio to join her for sort of drinks after show. But she's such a great actress. The aftermath, we look at the response through social media, and then the backlash with the denial from head of NASA. So we're into the element of fake news. It's doing quite a good job, this comedy, dark comedy, of drawing out the fakeness of our lives, and of course the cast. They're all top notch, really, in their ability at the profession of acting. So although it's a little bit sort of mushy, the script, and a little bit sort of corny, I think it's working. There's certain elements of the script that are clearly mimicking Trump's presidency and how he sort of dragged the Oval Office into the mire and dragged the position down a sewer. Another really captivating screen where Jack's back at home and he's straight in checking his subscriber level and his need to get the message out. His wife comes in and he basically points out that this is his priority, and she then says she's going to go for a walk if he'd like to join her. And this sort of encapsulates once again how social relationships, real ones in real time, face to face, are being put to the back burner and replaced by these fictional social media relationships, friend cliques. So it's clever. The two protagonists are then arrested by the FBI. We then get the political U-turn, where they agree with the science, and then the sort of sensationalistic rescue mission. It rings true for that other movie years back with Bruce Willis and the daughter of the guy in Aerosmith, and where they had to go and destroy a comet. Can't remember the name of the film now, but it's following down that similar path. So instead of Willis and Ben Affleck, we've now got Ron Perlman with lots of sort of medals, typical sort of military hero, right winger who's going to take the weapon up and destroy the comet and sacrifice his own life. It's part and parcel of the Hollywood meets right-wing governments of bullshit. Following the presidential announcement, we then have a sort of little chit-chat that appears that everybody's on board, even though Lawrence's character despises the president. And then there's an array of social media tweets adorning the screen in response to this American hero going on a suicide mission. It's all full of that bubblegum stroke candy, squeaky, sugary American bullshit. So DiCaprio ends up in bed with Blanchett, and after the sex has been gone, they do a Q&A about their lives. It's all rather matter of fact and quite amusing. We then have the typical American sort of blasé sort of launch of this rocket to destroy the comet, with all the pomp and ceremony of "we are the greatest" behind them. But it's very satire-like, of course. To continue the outrage of this movie, the mission to place a nuclear weapon at the comet and destroy it is aborted when scientists apparently are analysing, reckon that it's got trillions of dollars worth of minerals and other beneficial aspects to its its structure. The movie started to deteriorate into one of these classic sort of spoof type movies. Some comments by Kate lead to an outrage of anarchy, society breakdown, street violence, looting, all the other nasty aspects, as the public appear to find out the motive behind the aborted destruction of the comet was basically to make people who are rich more richer by using the elements within the comet to make up lots of money on the stock market. The case shows quickly how polarised opinion can quickly evolve, and this of course runs side by side with the pandemic, which is a cute little message. Mackaye at times though does introduce sort of subplots that almost become meaningless. Kate has been sort of has got off the grid, as they call it. And firstly, she has, as she goes home and has the problem of getting into the house, this sort of opposite viewpoint on trying to use the comet to make a huge amount of money. And then we have this scene where she's with this young guy, Timothy Chalamet, and we slip into the theological sort of bit about belief in the Almighty in the light of the pending end of the world situation. It's all rather cool. The realisation that the comet is real then comes into the story by visual evidence, but the film's sort of becoming almost more like Big Brother stroke the Hunger Games, with this sort of lost sense of any sort of reality as we know it. Or maybe that's the point. Maybe the distorted reality is where we've got to now in the post-Trump era. But for me, I preferred it when it was quite more comedic. It's become more darker now. We then go into the sort of mould of a touring circus to inform the public, with Jack and Kate adorning microphones in front of large gatherings, making the point that the plan by the government is just going to end in disaster. But it's sort of this sort of events type of spreading the word has become rather sort of corny, to say the least. Very much more like the hustings or the presidential race, but it's more a case of the planet versus the government, with impending doom and a failure by the Russians to intercept the comet, leading to a disaster at the launching. We then come to Kate and Jack in a four-wheel drive, driving across some wasteland to buy some groceries, and then we get sidestepped by Jack's appreciation of some old song back in the Duke Ellington, Perry Como era, and Jack takes the opportunity to try and sell its value to Kate, who is, to say the least, hardly interested in what he's got to say. As the fateful moment approaches, people fleeing their posts, desperately wanting to catch the last few seconds with close family members, my thoughts came to the Lars von Trier Melancholia. It's a far better film without trying to pretend to be funny. This one is completely losing its way. and even the quality of the actors on show aren't able to save this, which is becoming a bit of a mess.